All right, we are live, folks. Welcome to the last Friday of 2023. I still have my YouTube open back here. Here we go. So today we have Lance, and I'm not even going to butcher his last name. So, Lance, give us your last name and pronounce it properly for the people.
It is a Furuyama, or Furuyama.
Furuyama, and
There you
Lance
go.
is a fellow island brother. So
Yes.
I know that Lance is a little bit of a LinkedIn celebrity. So for the folks that are logging on from LinkedIn and the 270 plus folks that RSVP'd to this, thanks to the 5 that came from my network and the rest that came from Lance's. Just kidding, just kidding. We actually share a lot of mutual connections, which is really cool. But as we get ready to have folks log in and get started, because I know it takes a minute for these technologies to start announcing to people that we're live and everything else. How was your day, Lance? How's everything going? How's the West Coast? It's only lunchtime over there.
Yeah, it's been a nice, relaxing week. If every week were like this, I don't even know what I'd do with my time.
Yeah,
I
how
did
was
a
your
podcast
Christmas?
earlier this morning. Oh, my Christmas was relaxing. I intentionally did not a whole lot. I
Okay.
butchered some wrapping. Santa's really slipping this year. That wrapping paper was freaking trash.
So Leslie over here says hello. So hello, Leslie. I see our LinkedIn community is starting to log in. And, folks, if you're logging in on YouTube and Facebook, I want to say thank you to you for being here. I'm going to make Lance really happy and say this at the very, very beginning of the show. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, especially if you've been here more than once. Make sure that you give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all of the things that you have to do so that the internet algorithms and gods push this out to more people. And the main reason that I have Lance on today is because Lance has been extremely supportive of me and my social media rebirth, because those of you who know me from the fitness world and real estate world know that I have always been very much into marketing and also just showcasing and collaborating with my peers, no matter the industry. So Lance has always been there, very supportive, a very active voice here on LinkedIn. So, Lance, first off, thank you for being here. It's a vacation week, like you said, very slow week. You did not have to say yes. But I wanted to do this special episode for people while we had a slow week and right before we hit 2024, because I know that a lot of folks are probably planning this week, even though they should have planned weeks ago or months ago, but are probably planning this week for 2024, or after they finish their books in January, February, will start thinking about stuff. So, you're the man. So why don't you introduce yourself? I'm going to ask you a little bit about your background. I know you're also a tradesman, and this is the Everything Construction Club and Community. So welcome and thank you.
Well, I do have to say I'm the worst tradesman in my crew, so just in case they're watching this. But I am a great
Okay.
planner. I will give myself that much credit. Uh, but yeah, we work on the electrical contracting side in California, primarily removing backup generators. So very specific knowledge. You put me in any other
Okay.
setting, don't have a clue. But my main trait is I know how to work with all types of superintendents.
hmm
Understand that the shit rolls downhill, and I'm under them, so I need to make it work.
And
Um,
I think most people on LinkedIn probably don't even know that you do electrical, right?
yeah, it's a secret because I don't want them actually thinking that I know anything. Um, most of my role is on the business development and project management side, so I, I'm I'm far removed from actually getting my hands too dirty.
Yeah.
I
So
miss it. I miss it though.
Jesse wants to know if 7-Eleven is a sponsor. No, they are not.
They
We
are.
actually
They are. That's
they
you
knew.
were you're big in the fitness world. I'm big body by 7-Eleven. Thank you, thank you.
No, no, this is sponsored by GloJoy over here, guys. All right, so not 7-Eleven, and sponsored by Lance and Gloria taking their Friday afternoon off to be here live on LinkedIn with you guys. Lance has a lot of friends, so folks, I'm gonna keep showing comments from folks here. You've got Renee, you've got Rocio, and Matt Graves from Houston. Also here. So, welcome to all of our live streamers from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you guys are at. I'm going to give a quick, brief re-intro for all the people that are new. My name is Gloria Marie. I am the, moderator, host of the Everything Construction Corner, which is sponsored by GloJoy, apparently 7-Eleven today, and a bunch of other folks who support us, predominantly the LinkedIn construction community, which we have a lot of folks in the LinkedIn construction community here today. So thank you and big shout out to the LinkedIn construction community and the construction community from Instagram that is visiting, because we've been trying to pull the Instagram community over to LinkedIn, and everybody else who's just joining, Lance's mom, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Hey, is there a
Yeah,
pretty good
so
is there a pretty good community on Instagram?
yeah, Instagram's got a pretty dope community, and my first 2 episodes were actually people from Instagram who do 0 marketing on LinkedIn, but have started to do marketing on LinkedIn since we did the episode, or at least post here and there, and have made connections with new people that are not a part of the Instagram community. Matt, who everybody, knows is the construction yeti, and we're trying to get over here on our show very early in 2024, is very popular on Instagram, and can tell you that we've got our own little Instagram community over there as well. So yeah, it's a pretty neat environment. I've been noticing with the different social media platforms and who posts on which platforms, and all of that stuff. I feel like subcontractors who you cater to tend to be less shy on an Instagram and Facebook, whereas on LinkedIn they're a little bit more apprehensive to post. So electrician, project manager, became LinkedIn superstar and very loud construction voice in 2023. We call you a ninja because you literally came out of nowhere. So let's get into that. How did you go from, you know, boots on the ground sub trade to deciding that you needed to be on LinkedIn and be a part of this community and really be part of the glue that keeps us all together at this point?
Well, for me, LinkedIn was like that platform where you just park your resume and you come and check it every now and then. And I didn't
Mhm,
know that there was a whole construction community. So, funny, Matt's here, Jesse's here. Those are the people that kind of drew me in because I was
mhm.
like, well, this isn't boring. It's not a bunch of just white papers coming at me. Like I'm see so many white papers, I don't need to see anymore.
Right.
Um, but they've talked more about like the human side of construction, which to me is
Mhm.
if you're not in the community, you feel like you're crazy sometimes when you're out there. Right? You try to treat
Yeah.
people right, and they just don't want it. They don't. It's not a welcome change to the environment.
Why do you think that is, though? That construction has a tendency to be that way. I mean, how long have you been in construction, first off? Because we didn't even talk too much about your backstory, but why do you feel that that is that way?
Yeah, so I feel like people just love a bad beat story. I feel like we're a bunch of shitty poker players that want to tell everybody how bad you lost on the river, and like we don't really embrace a lot of the victories that we have. We'd rather just
Hmm.
say, "What a shitty day! What an asshole I was working with at that job," and that's what we thrive on. and it's a weird environment. And for me, I've been in it for different capacities, about 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so to come over from other industry and be like, why is everybody acting this way? Like who's shit in the cereal? What's going on? I felt so lost. I was confused, and you try to bring a little bit of like respect and positivity to the thing, and they just shut that down so quick if it's not the
Yeah, I was
entire
always
environment.
told I had too much energy or I'm too happy. Why are you so happy? Like
Yeah. How did you work through that? Because I know you came from like finance, right?
Yeah, so, I came from a background in finance and also worked as a group fitness instructor, though, on the side, because finance and real estate, which are the two industries that I spent the bulk of my, I guess, white collar career in, I found very stressful. And having come from a background in the arts, while yeah, I did it for the money also, because I was in my 20s and living in New York. The fitness was really always a way for me to kind of release. And so I started to treat the job site like a group fitness class,
Hmm.
understanding that there was the guy or the mom that came in after a stressful day. And this was, their escape from their family, or, the person who maybe had somebody pass away, or the person who has an addiction issue, which we talked a lot about with Jesse last week. And that was an incredible episode, despite all the tech crap, you know? And so I kind of put myself in this coach leader mentality, very similar to when I was in the front of a room teaching a group fitness class, understanding that everybody came in with their own baggage and shit. And they all did come in complaining, same thing. Oh, I got to get through these burpees. Oh, I got to get through this, or I'm stiff, or I'm hungover from last night. Like all these excuses and complaints, like right before class. And I'm the teacher and I had to motivate them for 45 to 55 minutes, sometimes 90 minutes. But all I got was nothing but like shit on, like you said, for like 10 minutes before class. And shout out to all the group fitness instructors out there that have to go through this, or bartenders or whoever. And I just treated it as if I was in that setting and understanding that I just needed to be that ray of sunshine, almost, and just keep being, who I am and true to myself. And eventually people would catch on. And the same energy that I brought to the table and to the job site and to the room or whatever would just, kind of gravitate to them. And hopefully, their mood would change. And for some people, they just pop their AirPods in and block me out. And for other people, they're like, "Hey, Gloria, what kind of music do you like to listen to?" And then we all jam together or whatever, right? So
Okay.
I think you just kind of lead with the same energy, if you will. And I'm not going to make excuses for being a female in construction or any other things that are to what people would say my detriment, right? Like not having 25 years of experience or construction management degree or all the different credentials that people are on LinkedIn are typically looking for. Really, I come in with the energy that I want to receive from others. And I mean, it works for some, it doesn't work for others. I haven't always been successful with it, I could tell you that much. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question. And
Yeah.
hopefully
I like
that
that you stayed on though. I like that you kept that energy because I went the opposite way. I
Yeah,
I
and
found it
we have
easier
some
to just
comments.
go in.
Yeah, we have some comments here from folks, about being different. And so and Matt says it's a different cult over there on Instagram. And Lauren says Aloha
What's
Lance.
up, Lauren?
So you went a different route with it.
Yeah,
Tell us
I did.
about that.
I found it like learning that trade and then battling uphill at the same time with people, it was just easier for me to fold into the negative Nelly type of mindset. I mean, there was a lot to complain about, so it was just easier. But after a few years, I found it was making the job like so crappy to work on. Because there's even if you're trying to stay positive, there's so much going against you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've always been a ray of sunshine, and I do run teams, and the teams do let me down, and so there is the occasional, like, WTF moment, right, on a
Mhm.
job site that I think a lot of us get, and that's just also part of being a team. If anybody's played a team sport growing up or even as an adult, like, you understand, or even if you're a part of a family and have siblings, right? So, nobody's perfect, but and I feel like for a long time, yeah, I especially at the very beginning of my career, sometimes would fall into that complaining about the subcontractor or the dang electrician who didn't sweep up after himself. Now I just make social media videos and make fun of him and, get engagement out of it. And I tell him I'm making the videos, you know?
It's
Like we
always the
all have it.
electricians never sweeping up is always the example. Come on, guys, we got to be better. It's always us.
Come on, Kevin, sweep up.
Yeah, so you were big on Clubhouse, right? Like I've never even looked at Clubhouse or anything. Is that what is that?
Yeah, so, I love how Lance is, like, trying to reverse interview me here, but, it's all
It's a
fine.
conversation. That's what we
It's a
do.
conversation, yeah. So, Clubhouse, what is Clubhouse? So, Clubhouse is an app that LinkedIn Live audio is based off of, okay? So, if anybody's
Oh,
been on a LinkedIn audio live show on the app, where you, like, are talking and it's almost like a radio show. Jesse's saying it's like a three-way call, and Jesse was really big on Clubhouse and also running in very similar circles as me, but for whatever reason, never made it to the everything construction stage. Don't know how. I guess, God wanted us to meet on LinkedIn and through his show. But Clubhouse is effectively the Snapchat to the Instagram live, right? Like nobody talks about Snapchat. Now everybody's on Instagram or Facebook stories, right? And nobody really talks about Clubhouse, but they know what Twitter Spaces is and what LinkedIn audio is, okay? So Clubhouse is really was the first platform, is very popular in 2020, 2021, and I was one of the very, early adopters of Clubhouse and one of the very first, I think, you know, construction people. There wasn't that many of them, to begin with, that was on Clubhouse. So I teamed up with some other construction folks and we created a construction schedule of rooms, as they would call them. And we would bring in different characters in construction, much like yourself, and just have conversations like this. And a lot of times get really deep into certain topics, and other times we would just shoot the shit about the market and what exactly was going on at the time with materials, because we
oh,
had people from all over North America and 4,500 plus members. Some of our rooms sometimes would get into thousands of people. And, people would come with questions like, what does lumber cost in New York? I'm in Vermont. What does it cost in Kansas? Well, are you really waiting like 10 months for appliances? And so we really became almost like a newsroom for construction online. And, we all went back to work in 2022 and that kind of died down. And then here we are, 2023, now almost 2024. And everything construction is something we started on Clubhouse. But I did speak to Yosef, who was one of my co hosts and partners in, growing the everything construction community. Coralie, also my business coach, and a few others as well to, bring the community here to LinkedIn, merge with the communities that you and I are already a part of, because we can't have enough construction content out here, and continue to, highlight and raise the voices of construction people, here on LinkedIn and other platforms. So let's go back to you and how you became like a LinkedIn, construction voice and well-known persona within all of our communities here by just starting to post and really starting to engage. And why LinkedIn and not Facebook or Instagram, where I would see more content from an electrician typically?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it was like the No BS live stream that kind of drew me in, and
Hmm.
Matt's newsletter. Between those two things, for me at the time, that was a lot to take in because I was not consuming any social media. Right, like
At the
I'm
time.
at the time. Yeah, so right now I'm just on LinkedIn, um,
Hmm.
and I'm not afraid to ask stupid questions. I have a lot of them, so
Hmm.
people think I engaged a lot, but it really was just being curious. Right, when you write, and there were a lot of views that weren't in alignment with what I believe, so I just wanted to get more information on it.
And, I see you and I both also know Michelle, and Michelle used to also run a club on Clubhouse, and I'm working on a really neat project with her, so I'm gonna be really excited to have her on the show as well. But there's a lot of cross-pollination, within the online worlds here, in 2023, 2024, if we can just bring more people together and just continue to have conversations like this. I agree with you. I don't agree with a lot of what is said out there, to be really honest.
Yeah,
And I didn't really engage on LinkedIn for a very long time until I was really inspired by you, Matt, and a few others, as you mentioned, to bring this community here and start these live streams and start to highlight other people in construction, because, you know, we just don't have enough of it, and I really wasn't liking the content that was being put out there, and I didn't wanna see another construction white paper or, another post by a large corporate company that, talked about all the tech and AI and whatever we're using in construction, and I'm like, "Who? The 5% of large companies that can afford to?" You know? Let's talk about the rest of the construction industry. Oh, wait, they're not here. So, I don't know about you, but I find that there's a lot of opportunity with LinkedIn that people don't even know about. So we have the live, right? You just started a
yeah.
newsletter. Tell us about the newsletter feature and maybe some of the other features that you play with on LinkedIn, that folks can start kicking off 2024 with a little bit more energy, like myself.
Yeah, the newsletter for me, I just did that like 2 or 3 days ago, and my whole thing is be first to the party because you don't have to be great. Like, if I'm the first one there and I suck, nobody's gonna notice. If I get a little better
Well,
each day, then that's how it works.
yeah.
Um, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's true. Like, I mean, if you're the first one to the party, like, who's who's to follow is just gonna make it better, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I like the newsletter because it gives me a little more room to use more graphics and more of a platform to share what other people are doing. Like I hate coming up with my own stuff, so it's nice to be able to just share everything in my saved posts or what my friends are working on or whatever's interesting to me at the time.
And I didn't even know that you could do that in the LinkedIn newsletters until you started your newsletter like a week ago. I mean, I'm signed up to a handful of newsletters, but usually it's just a bunch of articles that the author has written. It doesn't have pinned posts or events or any of that stuff.
Yeah, you can embed videos, you can embed other people's posts, can do a lot of things with no coding experience. So it's so easy, anyone could do it, even anyone.
Okay, I don't really know about that because I struggle even just with StreamYard. I've gotten really good at figuring out how to show comments and things. I remember the first couple of shows, I couldn't even figure out how to do that. I couldn't figure out how to like pop up people's information, or like handles or any of that stuff. And, I've slowly but surely started to, grow in my ability with the technology. So for folks who are scared of technology, and I'm a millennial, I'm not scared. I feel like I don't have the time, right? And I think a lot of people are going to say that, right? Don't
Yeah.
have the time. How long does a newsletter take to write? And what are the benefits of even having this newsletter to you or to a business owner or a sub trade, which you spend a lot of time preaching about on the platforms?
Can I get a witness? Let's say, no, no,
There are many witnesses here.
no. The benefit to the newsletter is that it does push out to your audience. I still don't understand LinkedIn impressions and what that means. Like, did it just load? I don't. I don't. I think it's a weird number or weird metric.
Mhm.
But the
I
newsletter
agree
does
with
show
you.
you
I have no clue what it means either.
yeah, but the newsletter shows you how many people opened it, whether it was through the platform or through their email. So that's like more of a real like how many eyes saw this thing.
Okay.
Um, and I find it a good way to repurpose things that you've already created, right? So whether it's YouTube videos or past interviews or anything like that, you can bring new life back to it.
Yeah, and you actually just mentioned something really key, which is repurposing content, which is
Oh, yeah.
something that I recently also learned about. Shout out to Go Social Up that manages our social media, and our coach Megan, who really, I mean, thanks, Megan. You're the queen. You're the queen. But repurposing old content, like you don't, or other people's content, you don't have to always come up with something every day or even on the spot every, you know, single time you need to post. Like you can even schedule these things and then post it
Yes.
later or whatever. Like there's a lot of people who record content one day a month, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sick of hearing my own voice, honestly, or like seeing my own stuff. So it's nice to be able to share what other people are doing because it's tough to create. It's tough to do that. And what I like to do is highlight it because I know the work that goes into a post or a video that somebody made. So to
Yeah.
give it new life, because LinkedIn has a shelf life of an avocado. I mean, you you release it and it's like it's garbage by the next day.
Right, right. I mean, no, you're right. Maybe 1 or 2 days if you put it in the fridge,
There you
like my
go.
mom does, you know? She'll put them in the fridge or, like, yell at me to put my own avocados in the fridge. She puts everything in the fridge. It's an island thing, you know?
Oh yeah,
Even bread goes in the
it'll go bad.
fridge.
It'll go bad.
Well, I know. You know what I'm talking about too,
I
right?
do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, but you are right. And I don't think that's like specific to LinkedIn. I think that's all platforms. You post it and it's like, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to like celebrity content, I would think, not saying that, anybody here's a celebrity. But that's what TV shows were like for us growing up, right? People are here, everybody's engaging, and then they're going to forget about this live stream in a week or in a
Yeah.
day, and we have a lot of folks that are engaged and a lot of like fun comments. So, you've got
So,
over here, Miss Leslie says that she loves what Lance has to say about being curious. There's always leads to great endeavors. James and Jesse seem to be having a little back and forth, always be curious. Jesse, come on, Jesse. Jesse.
he took some pictures of
Jesse.
my feet last week.
Jesse and his fans only page. Michelle says she wants a newsletter. More on all of this stuff, you know. And Matt actually brought up a good point. He says the LinkedIn newsletters can hit Google via SEO too and get much farther reach than normal posts do. So, you know, if you're thinking about creating a newsletter and maybe you don't want to do it via like a regular platform, because who wants to like start another platform? Like,
Nope.
nobody. You know? So I would say get with Lance. Lance is super accessible, and or get with YouTube because YouTube is great and so are LinkedIn tutorials, you know, and get you a newsletter going. We actually were talking about that ourselves, myself and Yosef, about potentially putting together a newsletter so that, you know, we could put out content in between these live streams, which are currently every other week.
And everybody stay tuned. Like I've watched every episode live for the most part, and everybody that's here, I would say stay tuned. Like follow Gloria and stay in touch because you cover a lot more than just the build phase of
Oh
things. You guys
yeah.
cover everything, which for me, I'm learning. Like I don't know half the stuff, so it's nice to hear something.
Well, I feel like we could talk about the builds, but there's a lot of shows that already do that very well. You know, there's the build show with Matt Reisinger. All the Bob Villa stuff is still out there and, you know, thriving on YouTube and so many other shows that already really cover that. And
Yeah.
then the project management stuff is it dominates here on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is where the hybrid and the office roles in construction have thrived, right? So, you know, in thinking of what could people even care about? It's the human side of construction, right? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? You know, why do you wake up in the morning and go work a trade? So, let's talk about the trades a little bit. You know, we've talked about LinkedIn, we've talked about your newsletter and your shows and your popularity here with the community. And so, you know, everything construction is about highlighting just regular people that work in construction. How'd you even end up in construction?
Oh, such a fun journey. So I ran an electronics recycling company for a few years, and then they moved us into the data centers to remove things that were rack mounted. And they started asking about electrical gear. Do you take this? Do you take that? Because they're trying to help hit their lead numbers.
Mhm.
And at first we said no. We're like, that's way beyond what we're comfortable with. But we lucked into a master electrician that was retired and was willing to be our responsible managing officer, and we got our license and we were off and running. So he basically taught me along the way. It was nice to have an old sage by my side, keep me alive, get me home safe. But he entertained all of the questions that I had. He didn't just say
Okay.
do this. I'd ask why. He'd laugh, and then he would explain why we were doing something.
Right.
That's
So
key.
you found one of the very few people in our industry that was willing to pass on knowledge to you?
Yeah, yeah. It worked out well because we had him on retainer, and he was putting my body through the ringer. Basically, I was an extension of him at that point. He said,
Right.
"Do it." Basically, just controlled me, and I would do whatever he said. But without him, I don't know. I don't know where I'd be.
So were you thinking that you were gonna be like a tech person, like, and go to Silicon Valley? Is that why California from Hawaii?
No, no. My it was just a lot of family out this way, so I wanted to be closer. And the opportunity in California was just too much to turn down. And
Okay.
like I'm in Silicon Valley, so you could take any of the companies here, and they would be, the lead company back home in Hawaii. And
Right.
there's companies here that I do work for that I've never heard of, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys make that much a year? I had no idea. I didn't know what you guys did, or the size of your business.
Right. Yeah, construction can kinda hit you with the shock like that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, it's
it's crazy how much money some very small businesses or very niche businesses in the construction industry make.
oh yeah. If I knew what I know now, I would have gone back and just been an electrician from when I was, you know, 19 or 20.
I'm with you, actually. That probably would have been the trade that I would have picked. I probably would have done like an apprenticeship or something. I've always been very much into tech and tech, tech E. So, now I'm more on like a finish side and like finish carpentry, drywall, and really mostly project management, honestly. But our specialty trade is in drywall, painting, and finishing. And I can tell you if I had to pick a trade back when I was 17, 18, it'd probably be, electrical or maybe even HVAC. Who knows? I really love engineering. So, or gone into engineering or something. But yeah, I always believed the hype, people go into construction because they're too dumb to go to college.
That's what I was told. And and the thing is, you talk to people, especially the people doing the work, and they're so fucking smart. Like, I just can't understand how they can deconstruct a problem, put something together, and I'm like, that makes sense. Like, it blows my mind every time I see it.
Yeah, every time I'm part of a problem-solving escapade with one of my trades, and this literally happened this week, we're working on a property that is very old, and there's like 2 or 3 different systems and panels and all sorts of stuff. Apparently, there was a whole electrical panel we didn't even know about, and it was like hidden in some closet and like mystery closet in some locked room that we had like never been in. But after 3 breakers, like circuit breakers going out and us not being able to like flip them back on with the 2 panels we already knew about, we're like, there has to be another panel here. So, like turn into a whole scavenger hunt, right?
Yeah, we were trying to do a shutdown on one place, and there was a huge GPS system that nobody knew about. It was just locked in some weird room, and every time we power down, it would come back on, and we're like, what the hell's happening in this
What?
place? Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
annoying. It's
no,
so dangerous too. That's crazy.
it reminds me of just spending like a night out at the escape room, honestly. Sometimes even, like, tracing wires or tracing a leak or just anything any of the things that, like, we have to deal with old properties and just on a regular basis in construction in general. And, when you're saying, like I've been posting a lot on other platforms and stories about, people not necessarily being intelligent just because they got a 4-year college degree, or let's, encourage because there's a lot of people that are graduating right now. It's the, middle of the year. Encouraging people to pick a trade. Like we already have enough college graduates that aren't doing anything out there with useless degrees. And I'm sorry, guys, like some of the degrees that you are spending a lot of money on are absolutely useless and ridiculous. Like you could
Television
get
appreciation.
yeah, you could get a subscription to Masterclass or like a YouTube premium subscription and do better off with some of the things. And I mean, you could pay to go to college and party, or you could pay to be an apprentice. And as we talked about last week, the construction industry likes to party too. We don't
Oh
encourage
yeah.
it, but if that's what you're there for, at least get paid to party. You know?
Yeah, I have a question for you because we're among friends. Have
Right.
you ever worked on a site that you felt was haunted?
So I don't think I'm working on a site that's haunted right now. But I do believe sometimes there are spirits among me from carpentry's past that are like whispering to me where to go to find like this panel, for example, that was lost the other day. Like we were literally ready to throw in the towel and give up and run new wire.
Oh,
Okay. And some, as Jesse calls it, whisper, I call it Holy Spirit, and it just something came to me and like was like, "Hey, why don't you look here?"
hmm.
And sometimes I'm working in the place and or by myself or videotaping and see things while I'm videotaping. So I'm not gonna say that it's like haunted because I don't think it's haunted. I almost feel more like it's a blessed place. But I definitely feel like sometimes there are spirits among me, and my journey in construction has always been, I say, very spiritual because I don't even know what the heck I'm doing in construction in the first place.
I had a project where I was making some hot cocoa because it was cold by California standards, and the lights in the break room were flicking on and off, and I'm the only one there. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. But I said, that's okay. It's just electrical. It's just an issue. That's all it is. And then all of the cabinets in there opened up. I'm like, ugh. I was like, ugh, God, no, please. And then I just ignored it. I turned around, waited for my cocoa. I had like 30 seconds left, and then they all slammed. And I just walked out. I said, fuck, nope, I'm out of here. I didn't. I gave that job to somebody else. They never knew.
Well, I have walked away from jobs just from also certain vibes. I can't say I've had a situation like that with the cupboards. I have with the lights, and I've always thrown it to it's an old building, like the lights are flickering. You know what I mean? But but I'm grateful I've never had an experience like the whole cabinet thing, but I have had experiences also now that you mention it where like where like you think you just like set a pair of
Uh-huh.
pliers or a screwdriver in one area and then you turn around and it's over
Oh
here.
no. Ooh.
And so like that's happened to me before and I just chalk it off to I'm tired. I probably just forgot that I moved it. Or I swear to God, it was just and I'll just look up and be like, "Are you fucking with me right now?" Because like I don't know what else.
Yeah, I see Jesse
But
saying he's been on projects that were cursed. Does that count? Oh, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and we've had a couple folks actually comment here and some questions from folks. Michelle had a question about your newsletter. She says, "Do you use LinkedIn Pulse? If so, do you repurpose those articles in your LinkedIn newsletter?"
I haven't used Pulse before I did the newsletter, but that is a great transition over. I mean, you
What
already have
is
the content.
it?
I believe it's the articles, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay. And then Leslie said, we might need a moderator for the comment section. Yes. And I agree, Leslie. I agree. We are you volunteering?
We brought the
Because
party.
yeah, that sounds like she's volunteering to me. Absolutely. And then yeah, people are agreeing obviously that you are a great voice in the construction industry and just, to build an environment here. Um
Wait, did
Passing
Luke call me
knowledge.
young? Did Luke call me
Yeah,
young?
he
Oh,
did, he
oh,
did.
thank you, Luke. That's my guy right there.
And James Gable, which I also know, shout out to James, says that you have obviously experience in passing knowledge from the old sage. So you had one call you young, other one saying you're passing old sage knowledge.
I think
And that
I'm receiving the knowledge.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They call
You
me
did.
old.
You received the knowledge from the old sage. And then now you are passing knowledge. We're paying it forward, right? You know, and Jesse says that you inspired him and coached him into launching a weekly newsletter, which, I can say that honestly is great that Jesse's going to launch a weekly newsletter, because with everything that Jesse's already doing, I know that a lot of it's probably going to be bringing all his content into one place. So it'll
Ooh,
just be easier to figure out what Jesse's doing. And Jesse, if that's not what you were planning, that's my suggestion from a project management side. I'm just throwing it out there. You're already doing too much, brother. Just put it all in one place. Um, but this has been a very interesting conversation. It's been like a little bit all over the place, and we've had a lot of engagement also from the comments and just the field, which is how I would want job sites to be. And I encourage my job sites to be where everybody really does have a voice and can have a voice. And I think one of the things that I like about LinkedIn and the LinkedIn community, and you as well, is that you can just have an opinion about whatever the topic is in construction, and nobody's really looking at, titles
yeah.
or certain stars or the color of your hard hat or whatever. They're just like, oh, man, that's a great point, Lance. It's a great point, Michelle. Like, oh, Jesus, like, I'm going to keep calling him Jesus to make his mama proud. But Jesse, Jesse, encourages so many people and has so many different hats and roles. So I just really love how, even through promoting this show, I've had a lot of new connections that came from your newsletters and this show promotion, and people who have just followed and started conversations in my DMs. And normally I'd find that weird, but they came from you. So, they already have like a certain level of clout, right? It's almost like if I came to you and said, "Hey, Lance, could you please refer me a good electrician in the West Coast, particularly in Silicon Valley?" You'd be able to probably point me in the right direction. And because it's you, I'm going to trust that those electricians are good. I'll do my own due diligence, but, you know,
You passed the first step.
yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Speaking of LinkedIn though, I would like to say, guys, we don't have to agree with everything that everybody posts. I mean, I know we're all trying to encourage each other, but like
Mhm.
the real value is having a real dialogue and having a real conversation. I'd say some of the best things are when people came from a different side of the table from me, had some really interesting thing to back it up, and it got me thinking. I think that's the true value I get out of this. So if you
Yeah.
don't agree with something, it doesn't mean you just have to scroll by. Ask questions. Try to figure out where they were coming from. You might not agree in the end, but at least you're putting yourself out there to learn.
That's very true. That's very true. And I'll also say, because I'm a little bit of Miss Controversial here, and I like to, start shit, if
Let's
you
do it.
will, in the comments. But there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with in the construction industry here on LinkedIn. And for a long time, guys, I just didn't say anything. And Jesse can back me up on this. I have started to post comments that maybe people aren't going to like, actually, that's a one sided point of view. What about this point of view? And starting a conversation in the comments in other people's posts. I've
Yes.
always been a commenter, a liker, a lurker, as one of my coaches calls it, and not really the one to like go out and put my own content. But as I'm putting my own content out there, I've also been engaging with more content, just spending more time on the platform. And I feel like stirring conversations in the comments, more folks should be less shy about that. Like, who gives a about what they think? You
Shit.
know? Yeah. Like, who cares what they think? Like, does it really matter? I mean, I posted a comment, and I'm not going to post the name of the company, but it's one of the large conglomerates here in the United States, one of the large corporates we were talking about. And I, disagreed with the person's post. And all that did was stir like 6 or 7 people from that company to follow me, and 3 of them to start a conversation with me in the comments about why I felt that way and what they could do to change that opinion that people like me had of them, you know, that they didn't know about. And these were executives that were much higher in the company. So clearly they're looking at the comments also. I even had one of the executives in the company here in New York reach out to me, and be like, "Hey, is this why you don't bid on any of our projects?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Damn, that's straight up.
you
That's
know?
a great conversation to have.
But that started on a comment. And so the point, and I guess the moral of that is, if you want to be the change, you actually have to have a voice. And so, a lot of the folks on here have this little badge. I believe you included, that is a top voice on LinkedIn for construction or leadership
Yeah.
or what have you. So if somebody were trying to get some sort of badge like that, maybe me or whoever, anybody trying to get a badge like that, what would one need to do besides engaging in comments, posting a newsletter, or
Oh,
just, is there
yeah.
a certain number of posts you need to do? Is that one of those like anomalies, like?
Yeah, so LinkedIn has like these AI generated articles that basically just create the framework of a conversation, and you just
Right.
add contributions to it, and if people vote on it, it's like really weak criteria. Honestly, it's kind of a BS badge, but it is what it is, right? You play the game. But
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. We're playing the game
yeah,
right now. I mean, we're doing this live stream, and a lot
yeah,
of this content's gonna be repurposed by my social media team, you, other people. Like, that's the whole point, right? Like, we're sitting here creating content that anybody can use.
yeah, yeah. So you just find the category. Maybe what I'll do is after we're done with this, I'll go back to the this event post, and I'll link it in the comments. They have construction management, and some other things as well. But you just um, add to 3 articles, and if people vote it up, then you're good to go. That's,
James says he wants the no BS badge,
I love
you
that one too.
know. Yeah, I want the no BS badge too, right? You know, Matt's over here saying, little secret, those AI collaborative articles are also showing up in the number 1 spot in Google searches. Okay, so Matt and I are going to have a whole Google conversation apparently when we do our live stream, because he is really, really good at building community and network, and not just a meme master. And, I think Michelle also clearly knows a lot of stuff. LinkedIn's Quora feature is interesting. I didn't even know LinkedIn had a Quora
Yeah.
feature. Did you?
Nope, did not know
And I didn't even know Quora was still around.
that. That's some funny stuff to read over the years. I'm
Really?
going to prison. I'm going to prison next week. How do I prepare myself? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Let's read it.
What's
Those are
the
the things I'd
other
be
one
reading.
that people used to use all the time? There was Ask Jeeves. Now I'm like aging myself. And
Jeez, I don't know him.
you don't know what Ask Jeeves is?
I don't think so.
No, there's Reddit. Reddit is the one that's
All
really
right, yeah.
popular still. Yeah, Reddit. But
Jeeves,
yeah. Oh, come
Jeeves,
on.
get some information for me.
Can somebody please help me out with the Ask Jeeves here?
Who
No.
answered Yahoo Answers? Oh, oh my god. I will have you
I
guys know I
love
am
it.
the #1 construction person on MySpace right now. Just didn't want to brag, but that's what's going on.
You're the only construction person on MySpace?
I'm the number one also.
The number one. Are you sure you're not Brawley's dad, Sean, my very first guest? I'm pretty sure he's still on MySpace.
Ugh, damn it.
Okay,
Man,
I
this is
got
fun.
some folks. Michelle says she remembers the Ask Jeeves. Okay, James also says Ask Jeeves got me through some of high school. Okay, so yes, to my elder millennials and Gen Xers, thank you for backing me up with the Ask Jeeves.
Man, this is cool. I really enjoy your show. I mean, I like that you came up with no questions. That's perfect for a wild card like me. I mean, you read your audience well.
No questions because honestly, it's the last of the year. I haven't had this many RSVPs or live people for the show since the Clubhouse days, honestly. And I really just wanted to be this engaging conversation where we just talked about the fact that we're both in the trades. We're both construction project managers. We're both also LinkedIn construction voices and construction voices in general on social media. We have clearly a social media community of, we'll call ourselves quote unquote influencers in the construction industry, whether we have, 25, 30,000 followers like Matt, or hundreds of thousands like some others, or, just 100. Clearly, the construction community likes community and not just on the job site or the back office, like the ladies in the office, as a lot of my contractors say, you know, I
Oh,
know, I know. But there's always a camaraderie and a community when it comes to construction or even trucking or other blue collar industries that I, having come from other corporate jobs, really didn't feel or see. Michelle is like a sister to me, a big sister to me, and amazing mentor. And there are many other women in the construction industry whom have so many thanks to give because this community really is like so welcoming and embracing. So when we start off a podcast talking about the negative Nellies on the job site and the overall negative energy that we feel when we first come on the job site, that makes me sad because I don't want that for other people. Like, I want people to join construction and be in an environment where they feel what we feel right now. So how do we encourage folks for 2024, Lance, to pick one or two things and just stick to it for, like, I'm not even going to say the whole year. I'm going to make it like a fitness goal, right?
that's my goal
So
actually.
yeah, so let's do 90 days, folks, and we'll hold you accountable. Everything Construction has a club and a group. We'll post a link to the group in the comments here after this show and also on all the other platforms. What are you going to do? And post it in the comments. We want to hold you accountable and we want you to join the group. What are you going to do? What are some things that people can do, low hanging fruit, to put themselves out there and to garner more business or more eyeballs if they're an employee and maybe they're looking for a promotion, a new job, a transition, a relocation? Like, let's get people going, rallied up.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I did not manage this time well. I have to ask you something, even if we go over like a couple minutes. As a leader, a female leader in construction, what are some things that men can do to be allies without being condescending or making things weird? Like, a lot of us want to do right by our, our female partners, but we don't want to come off a certain way.
Oof. That's that's a good question and something you and I have talked about, actually. And I talked about a little bit with Jesse last week on the live stream. Truly, it's just showing up and giving us opportunities to be in the room with you guys, you know? So being a part of this live stream, even though most people on LinkedIn don't know me as Construction Gloria and know me as Banker Gloria or Real Estate Gloria or whatever else I've moonlighted as in my previous careers with all the ADHD that I have, I I can tell you that showing up and just not making a big deal out of it is the best way that you can support women in construction. The more we're singled out, we get a week, a month, whatever, then we get shoved into a drawer after that month, that week,
Oh
that,
my god.
you know? So
That's
I
that's
don't,
my first
I don't,
post.
yeah, I don't want uh rah rah women in construction week in March. Like it's great. It's awesome, but can we just support each other for doing a good job and hire women for doing a good job, not just to hit some quota so you as a developer can get some tax credit, although you can, and hit me up if that's what you're looking for, because we're not going to turn down business. And we really, truly are the best. So quick plug for GloJoy there. But, hiring women just because they are the best man for the job. And yes, I said man because in the Bible, the human race is referred to as man, and I am a Christian and and I don't hide it, and there's no shade on people who don't follow, and I'm not pushing it, but we as a human race are referred to as man. So when people refer to men and I say it, I'm not like trying to diminish us. I'm just talking about the entire human race here,
Mhm.
and so I will say that hiring the right man for the job just means looking at the resume without looking for a gender, without looking for an age, without looking for a race, because the race card has become a really big thing recently as well. And I understand why the quotas are there. I do. And I appreciate the quotas even because we are getting into rooms that we wouldn't be getting into otherwise. However, once we get into the room, just treat us like everybody else
I
and
love it.
treat us with respect and treat us the same way also that you would. And this is me now talking more to the field. If your mom is on site, your wife or your daughter, you're going to have a certain vocabulary that you wouldn't have while you're with the boys. And boys, I understand you have your conversations in the locker room. I don't want to hear them. And neither does any other woman on the job site. And we shouldn't have to accept that behavior just because we want to be a part of the construction industry. And that's probably the one thing that in the one area where I don't want to be treated as an equal. I don't want to hear about your date last night.
That
or
you're
the
exaggerating about anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't want to hear about any of it, right? Like
Yeah.
we as a construction industry, that's one area that we're lacking. And we can learn from what they call white collar, right? That none of the conversations that we have on construction job sites and or are typically acceptable on a construction job site would be acceptable in any corporate setting or any office or any situation like that. Maybe on the trading floor. Been there, done that, So there's certain industries that are male dominated that have chosen not to change. And women don't need to accept it. And to the women, I will say, if it bothers you, speak up like I just did. I know I'm going to tick off a lot of guys, that watch this replay that are going to be like, well, if she doesn't like it, she can go to the office or she can go work somewhere else, right? This is just the way it is in construction. No, guys, it's 2024. I'll say this. It's 2024 almost. And we just need to respect and just act with respect on the job site. And I think that that will also encourage more women to join the industry and stay in the industry. A lot of women, particularly younger female trades, and I'll end my rant here. The apprentices, they quit because they feel sexually harassed by some of the conversations on the job site or in the office, or the way that they are treated and or ignored, because we just need to accept the fact that it's a boys club and this is just the way that it is. So, yeah, treat everybody with respect and treat us all like we belong. And it's okay if we can't lift something. The skinny dude that just came out of high school can't lift a bucket of compound either. Don't make fun of me. Don't
Yeah.
make fun of him either. Right. So, a lot of folks, I think I'm glad you waited till the end to ask that question. That's a very sensitive topic, but I would just tell people to just keep showing up.
Yeah, I think the standard of act as if your mom, your sister, your daughter, your wife is there. I mean, it'd be a lot quieter. I'll tell you that much. I mean, people talk wild when they're not around. So I think that's a good way to put it for people to understand. And that was my first post actually on LinkedIn. It was I swear when I'm working, I see women the other 51 weeks of the year. Why are they only appearing on your company page during Women in Construction Week? It's
Yeah,
Where do you
that's
hide them the rest of the year? What's going on?
You know what's funny that you asked this question, because I had a realtor on Instagram today and we were talking about representation, and he uses this hashtag representation matters. And I asked him one day, and today was that day, what exactly does this mean? Right? Like, are you saying like people should have a real estate agent represent them and that's what matters? Like, is it like, and I obviously knew it was more geared towards a certain demographic, or, people that are like, uh, more disadvantaged in purchasing homes, and all these different things. But I stirred a conversation with him, and it was actually a very graceful and good conversation, gleamed a lot from his point of view and vice versa. And obviously, we agreed to disagree, because I'm with Morgan Freeman in that the more we talk about it, the worse the divide, right? So we should just not talk about it. And I explain that from my point of view, I find that here on the mainland, they put a lot of emphasis on those things. And I say the mainland because you're from the island and you know exactly
Yeah.
what I mean. Uh, Back home, there's only a certain number of people. Like, we don't have time to be segregated. You know?
Three of us here, two of us there. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're gonna have a women in construction week on the island. There's gonna be like 3 people. You know?
Yeah, I think the big thing too is people misunderstand treating somebody equally as special treatment. That's not special treatment. You guys aren't asking for extra. You're just
No.
asking. Work is hard enough, especially in this field. You don't need to make it harder for somebody just because you can. That's such a weak mindset.
Yeah, and folks really love this question, and we've got some folks saying amen, amen, absolutely, and lots of preaching in this episode, folks. I'm sure you felt like you went to church with me. Uh, but more like be yourself out there type of communication. And
Oh, that's a good
this
one.
comment from Lou, the world thinks it's manly to be tough and crude. And I've thrown idiots off job sites as, their client rep. And I'm a client rep for a lot of our clients. So, I can definitely empathize with that. And the one previous comment that Lou put, that you don't have to cuss, right? Real men and women, you do not have to curse to get your point across. Occasionally I'll drop an F-bomb here and there. I was on a conference call today and dropped one, and I was like, oops, I'm so sorry, Jesus. Like, stop myself right away.
The
And
wrong
so it
word.
does, yeah, it does happen, but we don't have to. it doesn't have to be like a regular part of our vocabulary. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the audience engagement in today's show, and definitely appreciate all the new voices also that I got to connect with throughout this entire 2-week period where your community has, slowly been engaging and kind of morphing with mine. And it's really been great to meet so many new people and network with so many new people. And that's what LinkedIn is about, right? It's about getting connected and LinkedIn and
Networking.
exactly, networking. So speaking of networking, how can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, local truck stops. Just, just I'm only on LinkedIn, so you can come and find me here.
All right, local truck stops with Jesse and their fans only page. Because they're dumb and they didn't get to go to college. So, or maybe they did, and so now they're in construction, and people in construction make no money, right? We're all broke.
That's
Not,
that's so
not what
wild,
everybody
man. I
thinks.
still can't believe it. When I see a young kid making so much money, I'm like, good for you. Like, good for you. And everybody just goes on thinking that they did something so stupid, and here they are buying houses and living it up. Oh, this
Busted
guy.
out with the 7-Eleven night shift. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. And honestly, no shade on anybody if they do have a
Yep.
night shift while they're going through apprenticeship or even building a business. I started this business while still working full time, and I was doing it part time. And I started off as a client rep with like one or two clients, then, started to get licensed and, started to do trainings and started to really get interested in the business and grew it. So no shade on the night shift, guys. Okay. If that's you today, like good for you. I'm rooting for you.
That's what it is. Root for each other. There's a lot of business out there to be had. It's not a small pie.
It's not a small pie. And we do encourage you to come over to the dark side on Instagram and other platforms. We have things like StreamYard, which you and I both use religiously for our LinkedIn live shows. And, outside of repurposing content on YouTube, I haven't really like focused on growth on YouTube, although I will say that the impressions, which I also don't get for YouTube, are very high for the GloJoy channel for the 19 followers that I have. So if you're not following me on YouTube, please do us a favor and follow on YouTube. If we could get maybe to like 50 before the end of the year, your girl would be happy. 50.
Hey,
I'm aiming so high. So high.
hey, you're watching enough YouTube videos. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And also if you're following on Facebook, and or here on LinkedIn or just watching replays that other people repost on other platforms or little snippets. I just want to say thank you to all the folks. And more importantly, thank you to Lance. So make sure that you follow Lance and make sure that you like this video, click on his newsletter. He's got a lot of other people that he highlights, not just this event. And I'm going to drop off the newsletter after this unless I come up with some other content, but I've been on the newsletter all week. So, like, come on, guys. You definitely want to be friends with Lance, especially if you want to connect and network with other people in the industry. You also want to go ahead and join our Everything Construction group and community. We will be reposting Lance's newsletter. We will be reposting, Jesse's shows, and any lives or LinkedIn's or anything that's going on in the construction community, everything and anything we will be highlighting in this group. It's a group where people can also ask questions, right? So if you've questions for Lance, like I said, he's an open book. I didn't even know how to use StreamYard before Lance. So Lance took time out of his schedule to show me. And so, I will say that do not hesitate to slide into Lance or any folks' DMs within
Oh,
the industry. No, yeah, don't be afraid to slide into the DMs of any of the folks in the industry. If you're trying to learn a little bit more about what they're doing, I mean, be respectful, obviously. I'm just saying from a professional standpoint,
for sure.
it's like the old fashioned phone call, I feel like, right? All right. Well, with that, I think we're a little bit over on the show. Last show of the year. No issues on that. But I definitely want to say thank you to you. I want to say thank you to all the viewers and
Right.
everybody catching the replay, including my mom, your mom, my dad, who's like number one fan. I love you, Dad. And you know, all of my aunties and uncles back home, as well. And Lance is my cousin now. So also all of my aunties and uncles back home in Hawaii
Hawaii.
want to say thank
There you
you and
go.
aloha to you. Happy New Year to absolutely everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Gloria. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.